we were meant to go to the next level in our relationships. It doesn't matter what your relationship was like here. You have an opportunity to have a beautiful relationship with them when they've passed. There's a big fear. If you ask people what's your biggest fear, people will say death. We do everything to cheat death. We do everything to stay young and be healthy and not die. It's, one of those certainties in life. It's going to happen. And when we can release that fear, which is really highly ingrained in so many people, then we can open up to, oh, there is something after this life. We've got to look at that fear part first.
Welcome to the Go Slow to Go Fast lifestyle podcast, where we trade burnout for balance, hustle for harmony, and learn to live with intention, one slow breath at a time. As we move into this sacred season, the veil between worlds thinning around Samhain and El Dia de los Muertos, it's a time to honor our ancestors, reflect on what they've passed down to us beyond DNA, and release the patterns and pain that are no longer our story to carry. Lately, we've been exploring what it means to understand the sacrifices that came before us and how to live in deeper alignment with the gifts, wisdom, and resilience our ancestors left behind. Today's conversation feels especially timely. I'm joined by Laurie Parente, a gifted medium, spiritual teacher, and founder of Parente Inner Harmony Academy. Laurie is known for her profound work in mediumship, angel connections, and meditative healing journeys. Through her private sessions, group meditations, and coaching, she helps others connect to their inner wisdom and spiritual support teams. In this enlightening exchange, Laurie and I explore what it means to slow down to speed up, to trust the rhythm of life, even in moments of loss or uncertainty. We talk about relationships that transcend life itself, the sacred messages in our dreams, and the ways caretaking, both for others and ourselves, can become a spiritual practice. Together, we reflect on the power of thought, the potential for healing through presence, and how to connect more deeply with our loved ones and guides, those seen and unseen. So take a deep breath, light a candle if you can, and join us as we honor the past, awaken the present, and remember that the path to your purpose begins when you slow down to go fast. Well, Laurie, I want to say welcome to the show, to the Go Slow to Go Fast podcast. And I'm just so excited to get into our conversation. But before we get started, I want to ask what you are doing these days to go slow to go fast.
I am all about expanding time. So I like to work with breath work and meditation, and I'm always around water. And the big thing for me is slowing down my thoughts. Because when my thoughts are fast, life goes into chaos. And when I can find ways to slow my thoughts, then everything seems to flow.
So how are you slowing your thoughts? Like, what are your top go-tos for that practice?
I think number one is being aware of when my thoughts are spiraling, and then having the tools to just take a breath and drop from my head into my heart and just take that, how we say that God or the divine is in the pause, taking that pause. And then, is this thought true, or is it an old pattern that's just running? And just really knowing that I am the creator of my thoughts. So I get to decide what I'm thinking.
I love that, because you can get carried away with all the thoughts and things that come in from the outside world, what people are saying, even the energy that people are bringing into a meeting or into the grocery store or wherever you do your errands during the day, or whatever work looks like. For anybody listening or watching out there, you can take in a whole bunch of just energy and thoughts. And so really thinking and pausing about what you can control is a great way to slow down. I agree. And I'd say that I need to do that more, because we can only handle what we can control.
Right. And we can control our thoughts. So one big one for me is this thought mine? Or is it
Mm.
just something I've taken on from somebody else? Is this actually true for me? And then just finding those moments of no thought, having that space in between the thoughts is really teaching me to slow down.
Yeah. I think in this day and age where we have so much stimulation in our day to day, TV, radio, podcasts, work, family, what have you, it's really easy for us to feel like we have to fill that space with noise. And I think it's interesting to see, like I try to set a timer and see how long I can just sit still in the silence. That's really hard for
Right?
me because I feel like I have to always be doing something with my time.
Because that's what we did in our lives. That's how we grew up. Like, you always have to
Mhm.
be productive. You always have to be
Mhm.
busy. And sitting in the silence, those thoughts can get really loud in the
Mhm.
silence. And so then it's deciding, okay, so maybe I'm going to sit in the silence and not force myself to be quiet, but I'm just going to think the same thoughts over and over that I am okay, all is well, and just noticing how that calms your body. Sometimes it can be pretty hard to sit in the silence. Those thoughts
Mhm.
are those thoughts go a little bit nuts. You have so many orbs around you.
Do
Ever since
I?
we came on the camera, there's orbs, and a really, really big one just went right in front of you.
I have 2 grandmothers that passed during I knew them well, and then they went to the next level, and I don't know. I would wonder if it's probably family, but I don't know. I mean, would you say when there's orbs that it's family, or it could be guides, angels, it could be any coming in?
I mean, it could be anyone coming in. Usually when I see the little tiny flecks like that you've had around you all the time, those to
Mhm.
me are more guides, but when the big ones come in, that's more of a family member or a cherished friend or somebody that
Okay.
they're coming just knocking, and the first one you said is my grandma or my grandma's,
Mm.
so you
Mhm.
already answered the question for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm not a stranger to mediums and angel guides and folks that might see themselves as psychics or mediums. And I think my grandma had passed right before I had a reading. And so I was sitting down with this woman and grandma had either just passed or was getting ready to pass, and she came through pretty strong, which I think is rare. Like when they're passing, they usually don't do that right away. But I was having dating troubles with a guy that I thought was going to be my husband. Turns out he wasn't. And my grandma, I remember she came through really strong, and she was like, if you want a ring, just buy it already for yourself.
So I love her. I think, just to go back to what you said, it's not usual to come through when they're passing. I think all of those rules are going out the door.
Are
You know, you'll
they?
hear different
Okay.
people say, well, they're just passed, so they're resting and they won't come
Yeah.
through. I'm often connecting in with people with dementia, people with Alzheimer, people before they pass,
Mm,
right after they pass. And if we consider in the whole quantum field that there's no time, why would there
hmm.
be any rules to that?
That's true. That's fair. And I think we only kind of know if we're into any kind of understanding of the spiritual world, then we have probably been accustomed to certain types of rules. So that's
Right.
fair. The rules might be changing or they've always been different and we've just been just listening to maybe a certain set of
Right.
rules, just like anything in our life.
And
Okay, good to
every
know.
every medium, every intuitive has their way of doing things, right?
No,
So
true.
we get stuck in our own ways, and then a spirit will come along and tell us something different, and we'll be, oh right, there are no rules over there. Rules are
Yeah,
human. Yeah.
very, very true. Yeah, and I like when we did our pre-chat, I remember you saying that we all have this gift where we can communicate with our loved ones who've passed on and gone to the other side, whatever you believe, heaven, just the other realm and I think it's a great message, especially now. I think people need to know that they can talk to their family and their loved ones that have passed on.
Absolutely. I think the relationships are never meant to end. I mean, because we hear it said all the time, the relationships don't end because the love doesn't end. And what if we're meant to go on to a new phase in our relationships,
Right. Right.
right?
And I think, yeah, if anybody's listening to this, I think they're interested in learning more. They want to improve or continue to grow. So I think that's a great message to hear.
right? It takes time. Sometimes we have to get I can tell a little story about when my dad passed. I'm already working at that point as a medium and an intuitive. And I did not have a great relationship with my dad, barely saw him the last 20 years of his life, and I ended up being there as he was passing, and that is a story for another day because it was just incredible what the angels
Mhm.
showed me. But after he passed, he would come forward and I'd be like, "I'm not ready for you. Like, I'm not ready to talk to you. I still got a lot of anger. I still got some things to work out." And so it really showed me that when they pass, we need to clean up that human to human relationship. So sometimes we have these beautiful relationships and we can connect in with them right away. And other times there's just stuff that we need to do. They're doing their work on the other side, and there's things we need to do. And I remember it was about 3 months after he passed. My mom had also passed before, and she brought him forward. And I said, "No, I'm not ready. I don't want to talk to him." And she said, "No, yeah, you're ready." And then I had this interaction with my dad where it still makes me cry to this day, where I was a little girl and I was dancing on his feet. And in that moment, it was everything that I'd ever wanted in my life in a father. And we
Okay.
connected heart to heart, soul to soul.
Mm.
And so it really showed me that there has to be time for us to work through it. And
Mhm.
then we connect soul to soul. And now he's one of my favorite guides. He's like a Merlin, he's like magic, he's a trickster. Like when I feel him come in, I'm so excited. So this is what I mean when I say we were meant to go to the next level in our
Mhm.
relationships. And anyone can do this.
And it doesn't end when they pass on. It can
No,
continue like you've shared, which is great to hear.
right? And it doesn't matter
Yes.
what your relationship was like here. You have an opportunity to have a beautiful relationship with them when they've passed.
I love that message. I mean, there's probably so many of us out there grieving in some way from loss, but it's so good to know that it doesn't end. I mean, I've always believed that. I don't know, everybody has their belief system and what they value. But I mean, why would you look out into the world and look at nature and listen to people's stories and not think that there's more out there?
Well, there's a big fear. I mean, if you ask people what's your biggest fear, people will say
Mm,
death. We do everything to cheat death. We do
mhm.
everything to stay young and be healthy and not die.
Right. Right.
But it's, one of those certainties in life, it's going to happen. And when we can release that fear, which is really highly ingrained in so many people, then we
Mhm.
can open up to, oh, there is something after this life. So we've got to look at that fear part first.
Mhm. Mhm. And I've been fascinated with different stories of people when they do explain, like, if they're death doulas. I didn't know there was such a thing, but knowing that that is a profession, basically, if you're in hospice care or helping people pass over, I think that's just amazing work. But it seems like it's more and more that people aren't in pain, they aren't suffering, they're actually seeing family members come in before they go, and it's like a peaceful process for the most part. I mean, that seems to
Right.
be most of the
Yeah.
stories.
What a beautiful, I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about birth doulas and death doulas, what a
Mhm.
beautiful calling. Just
Yes.
gorgeous. I have a friend who's been a hospice nurse her whole life, and you wouldn't be able to sit with her for 5 minutes and not go, oh, there's something more. Because the things she's seen and,
Yeah.
and she does say in most cases, in the end, they are peaceful and something comes over the room as they
Mhm.
are feeling their people coming in. They'll be talking to people who've been gone a long time.
Mhm.
And it is peaceful and it is lovely. And then she said, you'll feel like the portal close as they leave,
Mm,
and the room feels differently.
mm. So the energy changes.
Right.
Interesting. That is so interesting. Mm. And I don't know, it seems like more and more stories seem to align where the family member passing on chooses sometimes to pass when nobody's around.
Right.
And people the living may feel guilty about missing that, but I think it's timed for a reason that way. It's on purpose.
How many stories have we heard where, the family's sitting vigil? They're there for
Hmm.
like 2 days straight. And the nurse says, you know what? I think you guys should just step out and get some coffee because the nurse knows. As soon
Mhm.
as they leave, they've just been waiting to be
Yeah.
alone. And the way that my friend describes it to me is there's often physical things that happen in the body as the soul leaves, that are not quite as pleasant, and the family member, they just don't want their family to see that. They're kind of
Mhm.
protecting them. But then people will come and say, I sat there, and as soon as I left, and then they feel badly that it was that they missed it, or they're driving in their car trying to get there, and the person
Mhm.
passes 10 minutes before they get there. And it leaves a lot of guilt in people. And if we can reframe that to, that was their choice. They wanted you to remember them in a certain way, then
Yeah.
that can bring some comfort to people.
Mhm. I agree. Not that I've had many experiences myself, but it seems like the stories I've heard over and over again do seem to align with that
Right.
for sure. My last encounter with a family member passing on or being close to passing on was my uncle, my mom's brother. And it's funny because I saw him in the hospital and I think he passed on a month or two after that. It wasn't much longer, if I remember correctly. But I remember him saying, there's the middle school principal who has triplets. Or no, he said, yeah, there's the principal who has triplets. And at the time, I was not a principal. I had gone back into the central office and I was like, I'm never going to be a principal again. And he was like, he would introduce me to the nursing staff that way. He would just, and I was like, whatever. Okay. He's delirious. He doesn't remember that I've left that and moved on. And he was a teacher. So he'd been a teacher all his life. He would make fun of me for going into leadership because he was always like, against the leadership in the school. He was like that teacher that didn't conform. And he was always just kind of picking my brain about why I wanted to be a principal. And so it was always kind of funny to me thinking back because after that time when I saw him that summer, I ended up feeling like I was called to be a principal again. And I went back into the principalship for another year. Now I've left since then, realizing it really was something I needed to wrap up and finish, but it wasn't for me anymore. But it's just so funny. And he would probably tell me in his New Yorker attitude and accent, like, yeah, see, I told you were going to be a principal one more time.
Right.
Yeah.
So and if he was going in, dealing with dementia, they are actually accessing so many more dimensions. That's why it's called dementia. They're in other dimensions, and they're
Okay.
doing work in other dimensions. And then when they cross, it's their consciousness melds into where they've already been working. So I know
Hmm.
in my work, often I will have people come to me saying, my dad is in the last parts of Alzheimer's, and no one can connect with him. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to connect with them and give them some messages because they're still here and yet they're kind of working elsewhere. It's a
Mm.
cool the way that the angels show me dementia and Alzheimer's. It's like
Mhm.
they're bridging between dimensions. They're
Okay.
here,
So
but they're
they
also
are
somewhere else.
that makes a lot of sense because they come and go. If you've been with
Yeah,
a family member, you've seen where they have clarity when they're with us sometimes and then they're not at other times. And so that would make sense that they're working on something else in another realm.
right. Very heartbreaking for the families. Yes.
Yes. And anybody out there listening or watching going through that, that's a lot, and family. I can't imagine what you're going through right now, but that would give me some listening to what you've just shared, Lori, that would give me some hope and
Right.
some peace knowing that there is a purpose possibly for what they're doing right
Right.
now before they move
Right.
on to whatever the next
If we
phase
look
is.
at soul agreements, we kind of got our life not mapped out completely, but perhaps we have certain set points mapped out, and that's maybe something that we've agreed to, that at the end of our
Mhm.
life we're going to be bridging dimensions, because there's things that can be done in those bridges that can't be done if you're in one or the other.
Okay. Okay. Wow. There's so much. There's so much out there that we're still going to learn and find out. But I feel like right now we're at a point where more and more of that information is becoming something that we're, either being given the opportunity to learn more or more people are being more sensitive to that information and can share that to others who are maybe not ready to hear it. But need to hear it. So, are you feeling any of that energy shifting or changing, or do you feel like that's been here for a while?
I think since, 2012, 20 and there was big moments like 2012, 2017,
Mhm.
2020 when people needed to
Mhm.
slow down and were
Mhm.
questioning, this is life, what's happening, where am I in all of this? It gave people a chance to sit back and say, is the life I'm living what I came here to do, or am I
Mm.
just like a cog in a wheel somewhere?
Right.
And then there's been huge shifts since then, and just the last, I'm not sure when this episode will come out, but we're recording just after the fall equinox. There was a
Mhm.
huge shift in clarity, in discernment, in being able to a lot of people have been reporting to me that their dreams are just like they're having these dreams, and for a long time it would be just be like, "Oh, I had a cool dream." But now within the dream, they
Mhm.
know what's happening and they're getting clarity in their dreams, and they
Mm.
wake up knowing what the dream symbolism was all about. And everything just feels a little softer right now. And people feel like they're more in their hearts and they're more available to knowing that there's so much more than just their physical life going on.
That's fascinating. I definitely felt a shift in the last few days. I felt heavier before, don't feel as heavy now. But dreams have always been kind of elusive for me. I've had to really focus on trying to write them down right when I wake up. But would you suggest that if somebody was interested in kind of getting more clarity around their dreams, if they remember them or if they want to remember them, maybe having a journal by their bedside, or is there any other strategies that you would suggest?
Before you're going to sleep, setting the intention.
Mm.
Intentions are so powerful that I wish to remember my dreams tonight, and I also would love to know what they're about. And when you're waking up in the morning and you're journaling and you're writing down your dream, or if you wake up in the middle of the night, I always keep a
Hmm.
journal in the washroom because I'm not going to remember it in the morning.
That's a good idea.
Writing it down, but as you're writing it down, asking also, what does this mean? And asking
Hmm.
your heart, asking your, what I call your team in spirit, like, give me some clarity around this. So you're not
Hmm.
just writing down what it was, you're stepping into that next level with your dream.
Hmm.
And there's themes in dreams, there are archetypes in dreams, and there's things that have come up over and over and over in our dreams in different ways they'll present
Hmm.
until we'll go, "Oh, I see that." And that's what I feel that this energy is about lately, like now I see it and I understand why it's here, and I
Hmm.
feel like I can honor it when these things come up. And before, it would just be like, "Whoa, I had a crazy dream last night," and then you just move on.
Right, right.
But
So
it's your
instead of,
subconscious speaking to you, telling you things, right? And I know, for myself, the biggest program for me, and it is for so many women, is that caretaking program, right?
hmm,
And it's
hmm,
woven into us. And it feels so easy to step into because it feels like love. It feels like
yes,
we're taking care of people. And yet we will take care of people to the point of our own exhaustion. We'll give and we'll give and we'll give. Somebody will ask us for something, or we'll offer something, even though our body is giving us the symptoms of, you're done, you need to rest. We'll be like, oh, it's just one more thing and they really need me. And, so I'll just do it.
hmm,
And that has become very clear, even though I've worked on unwinding it for years. In my dreams lately, it's been coming up. And what my guides will say is, I'm no longer enmeshed in it. I'm understanding it. And yet it still needs to unwind some more. And I find
hmm,
that's coming up for a lot of clients, a lot of women, especially women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, that
hmm,
caretaking. And the big thing that my guides have shown me is when we step in and caretake for somebody, we're taking away their agency. We're taking
hmm,
away their ability to do it for themselves. And just because we know better, or we're intuitive, we're empathic, we can see it, we can feel it, we know what they need, we're taking away their agency. And so that's been a real boundary for me, probably in the last
hmm,
year, of stopping. Why am I doing this? And it's interesting. I have an older sister who lives in a very small town, doesn't travel much, and she was going to her 40th nursing school reunion. And so she
hmm.
came to the city and then she had to fly. And I took her to the airport. She was very, very nervous flyer. And I just did it. Like, I just did her bags and I just put it on the thing and I got her to security and I did everything. And I thought,
Right.
here, I'd done a good job. But then she phoned me on the way home crying because she didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
So my caretaking in that moment was actually harmful to her. I didn't take her and say, okay, this is how you do it and show her how. I
Mm,
just did it for her. And how many
mhm,
times in our lives do we just, well, I know how to do something, and you just do
mhm,
it for people.
mhm. Yeah,
And
and
so
we
my
think we're
guides
being
have,
helpful.
right? But that whole they'll say to me, "You're taking away their agency. Step back,
Mhm,
take a
mhm.
breath, let them do it
Yeah,
for themselves. Help them
yeah,
to help themselves."
and it's so hard.
It's
It's a
very
hard thing
hard
to do.
because it's we were taught when we were little, "Oh, she's 5 years old and she's such a great helper." And we take on that
Mhm,
responsibility right away. Or we're, emotionally parentified where we're taken into the confidence of a parent in a way that we shouldn't be when we're little. And it's just the process of
mhm.
unwinding all of that caretaking, and it's a big one.
It is a big one. And, I'm a oldest of 4, and I come from a long line of oldest of 4, most all men, all boys. I was the first granddaughter in a long line of male energy. And yeah, I'm a bit of a control freak. I have been.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds negative, but I've had to deprogram that over the years. And I remember hearing, I don't know if it was in a dream or it was maybe in a reading or somebody told me, but they were like, you were going to have multiples because if you have one child at a time, you're going to bother them to death.
And as a mom of I had twins first and then 2 more, so I had
Hmm.
4 in 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot control that.
Mm-mm.
No, you can't. So that came to both of us, right?
Right. Yes, I think so. They were meant to be. And I think I believe that we choose our parents and it's like a
Mhm.
contract and all the things. So they chose me and we chose each other. So we're learning from each other. But they've
Right.
taught me so much because they've had to learn how to wait because having 3 at once, you've got to wait your turn and wait for your siblings to get whatever they're getting. But then for as a parent, you've got to be able to just literally go slow to go fast. Because if you don't, you're
Right.
going to kill yourself.
Right? You've got
Yeah,
to relax and take it
you've
slow.
got to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday, or the day before, we were realizing that we have 11-year-olds. They just turned 11. And these days, it's so easy as a parent to get those like slip on shoes or the Velcro shoes instead of getting the kind that tie laces. But if you don't teach your kids how to do the lace tying, or like when they're really young, just the little things like eating applesauce out of those squeezy tubes instead of like using utensils, they're going to grow up not knowing how to do the basic things. And I can hear
Right.
the preschool teachers in my ear, saying you've got to give them their space and give them their time to learn these because they're going to learn them at different times. And
Right.
you also got to have the patience. So we get frustrated when they don't know how to tie their shoe really quickly, but they know how to tie their shoes. They just have to learn how to do it automatically where they're not even thinking about it. We're still going through that and it's okay. But, my goal is they're going to learn how to do their own laundry. They're going to learn how to do their own dishes and they're going to like all those little basic things so they can be independent humans when they grow up. You just got to do it one day at a time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And learn how to cook so that when they
Mm,
move out, they can
yep.
actually eat well.
Yes, and not a bag of Doritos and a beer for dinner.
That's what I did when I moved out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yep. Mhm.
Was
Single
Cool Ranch.
single
Cool Ranch for
people
me. Yeah.
food. Yeah, that's
Right?
single people dinner. Mhm. You can do it for a couple of months, but then you're gonna really want a home cooked meal. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can teach our young how to fend for themselves in the grocery store too. But yeah, I mean, all those little things growing through like parenting, and then it's not just your children. It's like what you said, like parenting our siblings. I think
Mhm.
I've been known to do some of that in my, being oldest of
Right.
4, parenting my siblings a little too much. Hmm.
right? And it's just a
Yeah.
role that we stepped into and it worked in the family. So
Mhm.
there's no shame, there's no blame. And when we notice it, we go, okay, do I want to continue this or do I want to make the effort to do things differently?
Right.
Because it's
Right.
all about being kind to ourselves. When noticing is 95% of it. And then we get to
Mhm.
choose, am I going to be hard on myself or am I going to be kind to myself?
Right. It is about kindness, being kind to yourself and not beating yourself up. That negative self-talk can be pretty degrading to you as an individual. If you think about all the things that you say to yourself during the day, I feel like I'm a little better than I used to be, but I definitely have got some work to do in that realm.
If we all spoke out loud to other people the way that we
Mhm.
speak to ourselves, we would have no friends. No one would want to
Mhm.
talk to us. And the other thing about that is thoughts have energy. Thoughts are
Mhm.
things. So if we're walking somewhere, say we're in a mall and we're, putting down as women, I mean, we have
Mhm.
so much body shame. That's so deeply ingrained.
Mhm.
"Oh, I could
Yes.
never go into that store because my gut is too big or whatever." If our thoughts have things and their energy and they're being projected, what are the people around us picking up as we think that?
Yeah.
And what if
Yeah.
there's I always think, what if there's a young girl walking by and she's maybe 11 or 12 years old and she's going to go through a growth spurt. So her body's
Mhm.
taking on a little bit more of a cushion than she's used
Mhm.
to.
Mhm.
And subconsciously, that thought that I've just had as a 57-year-old woman about my stomach, what if that
Mhm.
subconsciously goes into her? What am I,
Mm.
So I think it's not just being careful with our thoughts for ourselves. It's
Mm.
realizing that we speak telepathically. We just don't know it, right?
Mm.
And people will say to me, "Oh, we don't do that." And I say, "Okay, stop at a light and look at the person next to you and say hi."
Mhm.
Immediately, they will swivel their head.
Wow.
Immediately. They
Okay.
will feel it, right? So our thoughts are not just we have to be careful for ourselves, but we have to be careful what we're putting out into the field as well.
Yeah. That's
And again,
so
no
yes.
blame, no shame,
Okay.
just notice.
Yeah.
What am I putting out there? Thoughts are
Mhm.
things. They have
And
energy.
we have so much power. We just don't realize we can
Right.
put so much
So
love and
what
goodwill
if
out there.
instead you were walking in the mall and there was a bunch of preteens around and you were walking going, "Man, this is a beautiful day and I love it. Look at all these lovely girls and what wow, I can feel
Mhm.
they're so brilliant and they're so smart and they're going to make such a big difference in this world and I feel so
Mhm.
empowered around them." What if that's your thoughts and what if that's what you're projecting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kids, they pick up on that immediately. I would have kids come into my office all the time and tell me the teachers that they liked because they knew the teacher liked them or
Mm,
thought positively about them and always was consistent and told them the truth, whatever. Kids pick up on that energy. And I think as adults, we still do. We just may not define it the way that we used to, maybe when we were younger. But yeah,
right.
you're right.
Kids teach us so much, right? I heard
Mhm.
someone the other day who's a very popular teacher say, the thing that causes us suffering in the world is other people. And I sat with it for a minute and I went, no, it's actually our thoughts about other people
Mm,
that cause us suffering.
mm,
Because if we can have a conversation with someone and they can bring up something to us that makes us feel uncomfortable, and we get to decide, am I going to think, oh, they're such a jerk for telling me that? And am I going to tell all my friends that? And am I going to go to bed thinking I can't believe they said that to me? Or am I going to do a Mr. Rogers and go, oh, you know what? Thanks. I'm going to think about that. Thanks for bringing that up. And then spend some time with that. Is this true? Is it mine? Is it a pattern I need to look at? Or was it theirs and I'm ready to release it? Or is it something for me? So it's not the other person that's causing us suffering. It's how
mhm.
we think about them.
So you earlier in our conversation, you said the way you go slow to go fast, and you mentioned that you ask yourself, "Is that my thought or somebody else's, or that is that my energy?" How do you pinpoint what would be a way or a couple of ways that you could ask yourself and then get that answer of that's not my thought?
So for me, the truth is always in my heart. So I'll have a thought. I think, is this mine? And I allow it to drop into my heart, and I will know by how it feels. It will
Mm.
feel, if it's mine, it will feel expansive and it will feel like, there's something here to look at. If it's not mine, it'll just be like, just kind of like neutral. No, that's not
Mhm.
mine. So I'll be like, okay,
Okay.
off you go. You're not needed. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Like it's
if you bring in a thought that you've been thinking about yourself, you said you
Mhm.
have a hard time with your self talk, just
Mhm.
something that you think over and over because we think them 5 billion times and it never
Yes.
changes, right?
Yes.
And just allow that thought to drop into your heart. Just physically feel it drop into your heart and say, is this true? Is this mine?
Mhm.
How do you feel? It's all about how you feel with the
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yes. Okay. I have to practice that. Yes, absolutely. Because I have, like you said, I will try to sit in silence and a million thoughts come through. And that's going to be normal. And that's what we do as humans. We have lots of thoughts come through, but we have to see whether or not they're ours or somebody else's.
Right. And can I create space in between these
Mm-hmm.
thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
Can I have that moment of no thought?
Yes.
And how do you find that? People find it different ways, through breath work or through tapping or through listening to a guided meditation. And there's so many resources out there. Just go and explore
Mm-hmm.
them and see what works for you. And at some point, you'll realize, wow, even just for 3 seconds, my brain was quiet. So this
Mm-hmm.
method works for me, and I'm going to explore it some more.
Yeah. Because if you can stretch that 3 seconds out for 6 seconds and then beyond that, each
Hmm.
time you're aware, then you can
Right.
expand that silence and have more thought.
My angels are really quite humorous. They know that I love humor. And I once said, "Oh, it would be great to like not have thoughts for 5 minutes." And they laughed and said, "Well, you would be dead. So is that what you want?" Right. So having those realistic
Right.
expectations, can it just be blank for 3 seconds? That's huge.
Yeah. And it's like going back to what you said, just give yourself grace and be kind.
Hmm.
Don't beat yourself up about it if you have lots of thoughts coming through, as long as you notice when it's quiet and notice if it's yours.
And have tools. So when my brain gets really, really busy, what do I do? Do I breathe? Do I go for a walk in nature? What works for you to allow that to calm down? And if you've just got 2 seconds, just taking your hands for anybody who's watching this visually and just putting them around your head and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
physically pulling it down to your heart.
Mm.
Just be
Okay.
like, and I love the imagery works for a lot of people, so I think just let your thoughts, the words, the letters just melt into your
Mm.
heart.
I like
Just
that
melt
visual.
for just melt down for a second and just give your brain a break. Our brains were not ever meant to be running the show. They are secondary to our hearts. Our hearts
Mm.
develop first in utero, right? We have heart math, which explains the heart brain and the heart brain connection and all that stuff. And so giving that brain just a rest, it's tired.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right.
And by brain, I mean thinking brain. Like it's tired. It doesn't need to be on all the time.
Right. And I feel like we've just gotten started and we have a little bit left before I have to let you go. So I'm thinking, you know, for any of the listeners and viewers out there, you have all these gifts and we're going to talk in a little bit about how to connect with you if people want to know more. But as far as, we've talked about thoughts and maybe how to hold them and ask ourselves if they're ours or not, and thinking about energy and growth a little bit, personal growth. Thinking if people out there are wondering, can I talk to my own angels or guides, or if I believe in that, if that's part of my belief system, is there, a way that we can start having a relationship with guides and angels?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all about the easy the easy tips and tricks because we don't
Hmm.
have a lot of time and it's what we're used to.
Hmm.
So, are you up for being a little bit of a doing a little exercise with me?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
up for it.
So, I'm thinking your grandma, the one that came in at the beginning. If you
Hmm.
want to just close your eyes and just bring her into your visual screen. So, what
Mhm.
she looks like, what she's wearing, the color of her hair, like as many details as you can bring in, whether you see it clearly or you just kind of feel
Mhm.
it, sense it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then as you're bringing her in more and more clearly, just use
Mhm.
this technique of smile her into your heart. So put a smile on your face and feel her drop into your heart.
Mm.
And then either ask her a question or just listen and notice if you feel any bodily sensations or if you have any answers come your way to your questions.
Mm.
And you may just feel some tingling or the hairs on your arms raise, or if there's anything going on, and you can just, the easiest way is just like, where are you? And they'll often say, I'm right here.
I feel like that she wants to hug me. She's hugging me. I always think of her in her kitchen. That's where we spent a lot of time together.
Right. So they'll often impress us with the memories of places where we
Mm.
spent time together. So know that she's bringing that through for you and see how easy it actually is to connect.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
not hard. So
Right.
we bring them in visually, we smile them into our hearts,
Mm.
we notice how we feel, we ask a question. It's as easy as that.
I like that visual too. Smile them into your hearts.
And you connected with her right away and you were in the kitchen and you felt it. So later, go deeper, go deeper and chat with her. And I can say that anyone that I show that to, they will connect right away. Like it's not meant to be hard.
Right.
It's natural.
Right. And as you think about your loved ones and there's a memory or a song on the radio, I believe that that is them connecting with you because they're always
Yeah,
around.
right.
And I think, yeah,
Yeah, they will
it's just
impress
one
us
way.
with thoughts, with memories, with signs, with synchronicities. That's them saying,
Mhm.
I'm here. And people will say, I never had a song. I've never had a dream. I've never had anything. Well, try this. Smile them into your
Mhm.
heart and open that invitation up. Because I find when people are like, I'm so jealous that my friend's mom comes to her and my mom never comes
Mhm.
to me, there's fear there. There's
Mm.
fear that's blocking.
Yeah.
So get quiet, bring them in, smile them into your heart, and you'll be like, "Oh, okay. They're right here."
And just see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, be curious, be open.
I like
And
that.
how your loved ones talk to you will be absolutely different to how your friend's loved one is talking to them. So those
Mhm.
expectations can block us sometimes as well.
Yeah. I agree. They all have their own personalities. I don't feel like they change when they cross over or go to heaven or wherever, whatever your belief system is. I believe that they're still doing their thing over on the other side. They're not changing themselves.
They will, I mean, whatever they're working on is different or how, I mean, we can't really know, but they will present to us with the same personalities so that we
Mm.
know it's
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I never met one of my grandfathers, but I knew that I would hear stories about him from my family. And so they would tell me what he was like. And so I always smell cigarette smoke when I'm by myself in the car and there's no other cars around. And I'm like, well, I'm not a smoker and I know nobody has smoked in this car and I don't see any other cars around. So it's got to be that grandfather that's saying
right,
something to me. And he was a
right?
driver. He would drive trucks, snack trucks around and fill different restaurants and, businesses with their snack machines. So that was his thing. He would be driving all the time. So he comes through when I'm driving.
And isn't it it's an opportunity to go deeper with them. Often we'll get a sign and be like, "Oh, there's a robin," and my grandma always comes through as a robin, and I'll say, "And?" Like, "And?" So you feel him coming through and you smell the cigarette and you realize it's him.
Yeah.
And? Ask
And
some questions, have a
yeah,
conversation. "What
that's
are you
fair.
here to tell me?
Mm,
What do I need to know at this time?" Or
mm-hmm,
"Are you coming because I just need a little I'm kinda down today," and notice, does he
mm-hmm,
come when your energy is down? When does he come to you? Go
mm,
deeper with the signs. I think I found a dime, it's my grandma, yay.
yeah.
And?
And that's where we leave it. Like, we're s
Right,
excited to have that interaction, but we don't ask
go
any other
deeper.
questions. Yeah, okay. That's good. That's good homework for me. I need to go deeper.
Right? And then it gets so exciting and it gets magical and you get really curious because
Mhm.
I have so much energy at the top of my head right now. Is there someone who usually comes through with, yeah, when you feel them around, they're like right here?
I can't see I've ever gotten a sensation physically. I have a lot
There's
of strong family members
You do,
that
yeah,
have gone
and, like,
on.
there's so many orbs around you and so much. I actually think it's, if I may,
Mhm.
it's a guide, an angel guide that
Mm,
is coming through in your dreams, and so if you start to feel some pressure kind of on the back of your head here, go
okay.
deeper with that.
Okay. Good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Hmm. I've wanted to connect with angel guides and I've been asking them. I'm like, I'm open. I've given
right,
permission.
right.
So bring it on. So that's
Right.
good.
So, yeah, as soon as it's a sensation right back here, and then just
Okay. Yep.
take a breath and be in your heart and ask questions. It's
It's
just
as
like we would
easy
have a
as that.
conversation
Okay.
with a girlfriend when we walk into a coffee shop and we can tell somebody
Mm,
needs to talk to us, we just open up.
okay. Good to know. Good
Mhm.
to know.
We don't
So
It doesn't have to be hard.
we just jumped right into conversation and I never really asked you like what was your moment that opened you up or got you into intuitive guidance work? Was it mostly your experience with your father that you shared at the beginning or was there another?
No, it was before that. I was very intuitive as a child. I was very connected to
Mhm.
the angels, spent a lot of time in the hospital when I was little. The angels were my playmates. And very typical story by the time we went to school in the 70s, it was like, okay, don't say that because everyone will think you're crazy, right? And just learned to kind of push it down. And as a teenager, not wanting to hear the thoughts of other people and saying, just I don't want this, take it away. So I think I was in my early 40s and things were, corporate job and 4 kids and all. It just felt so, I think, incongruent. And I just kept pushing and kept going. And it
Mhm.
got to the point where living inauthentically was too loud. I couldn't do
Mhm.
it anymore. And I took right away, I made the decision. I've got to look at this inner world. I've got to bring these psychic senses. They're right here. I was on Facebook of all things, and a course with James Von Prague came up on mediumship, and I signed up and I started it. Like
Wow.
just meant.
Okay.
And the second that I went into the very first meditation with him, my mom
Mhm.
and my nana were there with like a Christmas tree and all these presents. And they're like, "Yay, you're here. Yay, let's do this. It's time. Let's go. Let's go." And it was that moment that I just went,
Mm,
right? And then from
mm,
there, it was um, typical of someone who has worked hard their whole life. I took
yeah.
every course imaginable. I learned everything. I wanted to
Mm,
learn everything there was until I got to the point where a teacher of mine said, "I think you've given yourself your PH me. I think you're done." And I went,
that I've never heard
"I
that.
like that."
It's me. I like that.
Right? And then I just started sharing what I was
Mm,
learning and what I was knowing with friends and family, and people started saying, you've got to do more with this.
okay.
This lights you up, and
Yeah.
you need to do this. And there's been just so many beautiful experiences every day
Mm,
since.
mm,
So much
that's
magic.
lovely. And it is, whatever you feel like you have a lot of energy around that fills you up is
Right.
a message.
Follow what lights you up. Follow what gives you what gives you energy, and all the things that are
Mhm.
draining you, look at how you can change them.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be
Right.
a huge change. Lots of times it's just a change in perspective, a change in the way
Mm,
that you look at things.
that's fair too. So it doesn't mean you have to go quit your job and start over. It just means you need to flip the script a little bit and see
Right.
how you can change your thinking around it.
Right? Because your thoughts
That's fair.
are what's causing you to suffer.
That's true. We have the power. We have the gifts. We just have to figure out how we want to use them.
Right.
I love
Right.
that.
With a lots of kindness and lots of grace and
Mm,
lots of compassion for ourselves and for the people in
mhm.
our lives.
Mm. All right, Lori, I don't want to let you go. So I think I may be working with you outside of this podcast. But if people want to find out more about how to work with you, where should they go?
So I got great advice when I was just starting out to keep everything under my name.
Mm-hmm.
So my website is laurieparente.com, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly on Instagram at Laurie Parente. And every Thursday morning, it's at 9 a.m. Mountain. I offer a guided meditation, and usually it's something I'll talk for about 10 minutes, and then it ends up being about half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very low cost. $11 Canadian, I think it is. So for my American friends, it's like the cup of coffee. It's like
Yeah,
$8, right?
that's great.
So I say, come and do a meditation with me. If you can't make it at that time
Mhm.
live, the replay's available. And then from
Mhm.
there, I'll do one-on-one sessions. And I also do my favorite thing is my one-on-one mentorship program, which is a 12-week program.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you just work with people on whatever they wanna work on,
Yeah, so my
coaching-wise?
my mentorship program is called Tune into Your Soul Essence, and we go through 3 phases of releasing, and then connecting, and then activating. Just really getting in tune with who you are and how you're here to share your energy.
And I love that because I think everybody out there has a gift to share, and the more we figure out what that is, and the more we can
Right.
share it with the world, the better the world's going to be.
And that's why I love doing one-on-ones. Every business coach will tell you you've got to do group work. And I tried it and I went back to, I'm like, no, one-on-ones is what works for me because everyone is so individual and you cannot
Yeah.
give the same script to 2 people. You just can't. And so I love working one-on-one because my guides come through, their guides come through, their people come through, and we forge a path to help them open to really living that heart-led life that's so much full of so much magic and flow and ease and synchronicities. And it's my life's work, and I love it.
Yeah, because you do have a team on the other side helping you
Hmm.
out. So
Yes,
you connect that in your work, which
right?
is great.
Yeah, yeah. We each have huge teams, and they flow. We'll get different guides when we're working on different projects, and it's um. My students will often say it's when their inner lives become almost more important than their outer lives that they really feel like they're.
Home and
Yeah.
like comfortable in their space.
Yeah, like at home in their skin and at home with who they are and how they behave and how they think and how they exchange energy in the world and what they're here to do. Which I mean, people will say, "What is my purpose?" That's our number one question, right? What is my purpose? And I'll say your purpose is to love yourself, love others, and love your life.
And it sounds so simple, but
And
there's a
it's
reason
so
why
hard.
it's so good. Yes, you're right.
And it's not hard as in, not doable. It just takes a little bit of unwinding of all the
Mhm.
beliefs and the programming and all the ancestral stuff that we're carrying that we decided at some point, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna come into this life and I'm going to clear all this ancestral stuff. Won't that be fun?"
I agree. I think that's why we're here. We got to clean all that out. That resonates with me. Well, Laurie, this has been a great
Yeah.
conversation.
You're so welcome. Thank you for the wonderful questions. And I will tell you, an orb just went up like a butterfly all around you.
Aw, that's lovely. You know, I have some very strong personalities in my family, and they like to do their own thing, and they're not going to be ignored. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend or two who could use a little Hygge and connection with spirit. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you feel inspired, leave a rating and review on Apple. It really does help the show reach more people who need it. And to all my regular listeners, I appreciate you more than you'll know. And if you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy that we're growing this community of like-minded seekers, spreading love and light and positive energy together. If you're ready for more conscious practice, check out my 3-step Constack course at coachingwithkendrachapman.com. It's full of practical strategies to bring calm, balance, and freedom from that hustle culture to your day. And for those of you who love watching as much as listening, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kendra Chapman Living 123, to catch the video version of this episode and others. Thank you for being here. And remember, slowing down doesn't mean stopping. It's how we step fully into the life that we're meant to live. And as always, the light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. Remember, go slow to go fast. And thanks for listening.